Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to KCMA's webinar today. It is sponsored by CompuSoft. They are a relatively new member with KCMA, so we're excited to have them talk today about their software and their products and how it can benefit your industry and your company. So with that, I will say one other thing. If we make sure everyone can turn off their videos so we're not distracted by that. And I will turn it over to Bryce Nord and Eric Kaiser.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. Yeah, we also want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy day to come and connect with us. I'm Eric, and I have with me my colleague, Bryce Nord.
Hello, everyone. Super excited today to talk through really some new technology that we're bringing to the industry here on the US side. So Eric is going to really talk through the backstory of who is CompuSoft and why are we here today. And then I'll be going through really a pre-recorded demo of the tool itself, plus a live Q&A on the back end as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and kick it back over to Eric, and he's gonna start the presentation part of this.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so Bryce and I are the business development managers for CompuSoft US. And we're in charge of helping to launch our kitchen design software, WinterFlex, in North America. Many of you may have heard of CompuSoft or even heard from Bryce and I directly during our efforts to make introductions with cabinet manufacturers here in North America. For those of you who we've already connected with, thank you for the support and partnerships. And we look forward to connecting with many more of you after the call today. So the purpose of today's call is to introduce to you CompuSoft and our kitchen design software, WinterFlex. Now, just to make sure we're all clear on what WinterFlex is, we are directly in line with other CAD sales solutions like the 2020s or Pro Kitchens of the world. As you know, many designers have been looking for alternatives to their current CAD quoting platform, and WinterFlex has been greatly received by the design community. We have over 19,000 customers worldwide with over 30,000 users designing with WinterFlex every day. In fact, 70% of all kitchen designers in Europe are using Winter on a daily basis. So today you'll be shown some key features and benefits of WinterFlex that have been proven to increase order accuracy, increase your sales as the manufacturer, help reduce design time, and help your designers close more sales through the use of our powerful rendering engine. And our hope is that after this call, you'll want to connect further with us on a one-on-one basis to see how we can support your catalog and the dealers that will be using WinterFlex. So as Bryce mentioned, we're going to start with a brief slide deck about CompuSoft, and then we're going to go into the presentation of WinterFlex. During this time, we encourage everybody to submit questions through the chat box, which will be monitored by me and Bryce. At the end, we'll address as many questions as we can, but we will also send a follow-up email detailing all of your questions if we run out of time. Also, this is being recorded, so we will be sure to share this with everybody as well. So with that said, let me share my screen and we can get going. All right. Can you see my screen?
All good.
All right, good deal. So our mission statement at CompuSoft is to power the sales of our customers through innovative tools that make complex processes simple, driven by a global team of passionate people. A little bit about the CompuSoft group as a whole. We are a conglomerate of companies. We work in the entire building material space, including industries like kitchen and bath, window and door, fencing. The software and tools that we provide directly impact areas of lead generation and marketing, design, quote, and ordering, and manufacturing. That said, 80% of our business is exclusively focused on in the K&B industry and is what we'll be focusing on today. We have over 600 employees globally, and four of the most important pillars, if you will, at CompuSoft are listed here. We're heavily focused and devoted to customer satisfaction. We have dozens of trainers to help onboard customers, and we have US dedicated support staff that are live from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And with the support of the UK office, as well as our Australian office, North America basically has 24-hour support. We have over 100 catalog developers to ensure accuracy on every design and quote. Our development team will actually build your catalog, and in doing so becomes very intimate and accurate with how your product should be displayed and priced. And while we may be new to North America, we have been doing this for over 30 years. And as I said, we are the market leader in Europe, as well as other parts of the world. A little bit about our history. CompuSoft was started in 1989 by two brothers out of Norway. By the year 2000, we became a market leader in Europe and have grown in developing technologies and acquiring companies to bring our customers a full suite of products. Today, we have offices in 18 countries with over 30,000 users spanning across 100 countries. We support over 2,700 catalogs in 14 different languages and have nearly 1,000 manufacturer partnerships worldwide. And while we did enter the North American market in 2020, this year we truly began to hire North American dedicated staff, joining associations like this, and most importantly, we really began partnering with the top North American cabinet manufacturers to ensure that we can support dealers on our software. And lastly, as many of you may have heard, last week, CompuSoft in 2020 finalized a merger. This is an incredibly exciting time for our new company and a wonderful opportunity to bring great minds together. And we'll certainly keep all of you informed as more information is released. As I mentioned, data is one of our strongest attributes, and having all of the catalogs available for our customers is really key in helping to enhance their sales process. While we have partnerships with nearly all European cabinet manufacturers and are almost exclusively recommended by them to their dealers, our focus in North America is to continue partnering with local manufacturers. And again, our hope is that after this webinar, we can continue these conversations on a one-on-one basis. But on the right, you'll see several manufacturers who have already partnered with us so that we can support their dealer network. In total, we're in talks with well over 50 manufacturers who are excited about WinterFlex and what it can do for their customers. But when it comes to the products, when it comes to the solutions that we bring to the marketplace, our goal is to bring tools that can streamline and enhance the sales process for everyone. Our tools take on the challenge of lead generation, designing the kitchen, quote and contract creation, the presentation, and placing orders with the suppliers. Design at Web is a customer-facing tool that allows end customers to explore the products and get further down that buying process. This tool helps to engage potential customers, helps them to plan out their ideas, and ultimately generates leads for your dealers. This can be something that lives on the manufacturer's website, as well as the individual dealer's website too. And when a customer does do a design and they do save it, that is something that can be brought into our main sales solution, which is WinterFlex, and not a lot of duplication needs to happen, which can save a lot of time when offering a quote to a customer. But that brings us to WinterFlex. This is our flagship product, a completely cloud-based kitchen design tool that goes far beyond just designing. Winter combines the design, the quote, contract, the order to the suppliers. Winter also has built-in sales dashboards to help dealers really manage their pipeline and their business and understand it like never before. With Flex.com, your dealers have the ability to access saved data through a web browser. This feature creates a really organized way to collect and share project data without the need for additional design licenses. Now, everything is saved and backed up to the cloud, but this web portal just adds to the ease of data management. But in general, and you'll see this a little bit more as we get going here, but designers save time on every quote through an intuitive user interface and really create that wow factor presentation to help remove those buyers' doubts and help shorten those sales cycles. Showcase 360 is a module that is used from within WinterFlex. With Showcase 360, you can produce the customer's kitchen and allow them to really navigate the scene for an extremely immersed presentation of their dream kitchen. You can send the designs, the drawings to your customers and collaborate with them remotely for a faster sales cycle. You can also use these 360-degree renders for general marketing content or for on your website to help inspire buyers with new products. And lastly, these are just a few examples of the renderings from WinterFlex and what you can expect to see from your design community. These are all from designers based in the US using WinterFlex today. 80% of our customers come from other CAD platforms and less than 2% ever leave. So that's just a high-level introduction on CompuSoft and the products that we bring to the market here in North America. But now we're going to start the presentation that Bryce had pre-recorded. During this 45-minute presentation, you'll be able to see why designers prefer WinterFlex and why so many manufacturers are partnering with CompuSoft. But again, please submit all questions to the chat box. We'll come back to those and we'll answer as many as we can here shortly.
Welcome everyone to the demo portion of the webinar. At this point, I'm going to go through a high-level overview of the WinterFlex software, which again is really the core tool that designers are going to use to design, quote, and order projects from every day. Just a quick reminder, really there's three main reasons why designers choose Winter over other alternatives. Number one being the photorealistic renders. We truly do have the ability to bring the most realistic renders to customers in the market. And that all starts really with the partnership that we have with each individual manufacturer. Our internal catalog development team will work from the ground up, model by model, species, textures, finishes, to make sure that the data is accurate, the pricing is accurate, so that when we run that through our proprietary render engine, we're able to produce these photo-like renders. The other side of that is really in the customization. So you're going to see today, designers can really bring their ideas to life. They can customize almost anything and everything in this program. The beauty of that, though, is they don't have to. They can make it, this can be a very simple, quick, efficient tool to get a quote out the door. However, when needed and when necessary, you can truly bring that customer's actual space and actual project to life. And we know that visualization sells more projects. The second piece is really all about time saving. So on average, designers are going to save 40% design time from start to render when switching to WinterFlex from another solution in the market. We'll go into why that is, but there's a lot of auto draw functionalities built in, and really the software's ability to kind of be the brains of the design operation. And then lastly, the fact that WinterFlex is not just a design program, it really is a platform that's going to help businesses sell more projects, whether that's from lead generation on the front end to that sales presentation through our Showcase 360 feature on the back end, and the fact that we're able to bring users analytics behind what they're designing. So KPIs into the business, dashboards, and just the fact that we can help that entire sales process from start to finish. So with that, I'm going to jump in just to kind of give this high level overview today on the tool itself. So I'm going to start with the back end here. So you can see we have opened up a project. This would be the customer's information that we need. And you can see we have our company logo. So anyone would have the ability to change this, customize this to your branding so that any and all printouts, documents, renders, invoices would have that transition over into those key documents. On the left side of the screen, you're going to see where we have this organized by room type and then by design version. So we can create as many of these room types as we want. Think of these as folders, and then each of these are the different versions of the design. So you can see, if we already have a design that we started from, we can quickly mirror that room, flip that room. We can create a new alternative with the layout, but no cabinets. So we're kind of starting fresh, but we're not having to redesign that space altogether. So there's a lot of ways that we can use this on the front end to help save time. And then lastly, you're going to see the color-coded tracking that we have. Again, kitchen and bath cabinet sales are extremely complex. And so this tool is helping us to track that process. So we can see every quote that we send out. If we generate a sales contract, it's going to let us know when we did that. As we order to the supplier, we can track delivery, and then we can also generate the invoice from directly within the tool. So this color coding system just helps everyone maintain that organization and know exactly for this customer where each version is at in progress. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up this design here. I went ahead, we did a design ahead of time that we can showcase. I'd say it's 90% there, but it's going to give us, within the next 30 minutes, the ability to kind of give a high level overview of what's possible within Winterflex, what makes it truly unique on the market. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up our F7 screen. So this typically would be the very first screen that would pop up when you would start a new design. So the first thing you would have to do is actually make your selection as far as what door style do you want to design in. Or obviously up front would be what manufacturer do you want to design with. Then based off of that, your door style, your wood species, your finishes, construction types. So if you have the ability to do full overlay, partial overlay, inset doors, frameless doors, all of that would be selected in the very first screen. What that's going to do is that's going to give the software the knowledge to know when we go to start designing, if you try to place a cabinet that's not available in that door style or that species, it's going to stop us from being able to do that, and ensure that the order that we send over to the manufacturer at the end of this design is accurate and is possible to be created. The other benefit there is the tool is going to also be able to give us a running total of that quote. Because we know those key details of the door style, the finish, the construction types, we're able to quote that as we go, which is a big benefit to the designer. The next screen that we would typically have to select is the countertop vendor. So in this case, I'm just using Cosentino, a well-known national brand. Just selected a specific quartz color. And then the last screen before we would actually start designing is this right here, which is where we can add things like light rail molding underneath the cabinets, crown molding on top of the cabinets, and even room settings like baseboard molding in the room layout or crown molding. So you're going to notice these 3D models on the right side of the screen as we are working through the design today. So you can see we have the ability to spin that around, zoom in and out, and it's really just going to help us know exactly what we're selecting is what we wanted. So I'm going to go in here and actually make one change to this current design. So in the background, you can see today there's no crown molding placed up there. I'm just going to turn that on, and we're just going to select a random crown. Looks like a cove crown, and hit apply. The system is smart enough to route that everywhere throughout the room, both internal rooms and external walls. So you can see, by those selections that we make, the software is going to auto draw all of that. So we're really telling the software how to look. And then as soon as we drop in those cabinets, the countertop's automatically going to draw on the toe kicks, the light rails, the trims. So we're never having to run a trim wizard or a countertop wizard. The system is truly doing all of that work for us. So the next thing I want to point out is we have 4 room modes up here. The first one being room layout, which is where we are going to actually draw the walls, place the windows and doors. From there, we can go into room definition mode, which is where we drop in our cabinets, do our decor, add our textures. Essentially, that's now going to lock those external walls from accidentally being moved or misplaced. And then the final 2 are strictly for countertops. This gives us the ability to provide cut charts directly to the fabricator for countertops. So we can do all of that from within the tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is get started by moving this cursor in the top left corner of the screen. This is truly the heartbeat of winter. And so I'm going to place that here because in a minute, we're going to start actually dropping in cabinets onto this back wall. But anything that we tell the system to do, it's going to make that application wherever that cursor is located. So it's going to take a lot of the guesswork out for us. And we're never going to tell the system to drop in a specific cabinet and it get misplaced or drop through a base or go through the wall. it's always going to be applied where that cursor is. So we always know where that's going to happen. The other thing here is you're going to notice we have 3 screens being shown. The benefit here, if I move this cursor back up to this wall, is we have the ability to select and design in all 3 screens at one time. So you can see I'm able to click in all of these at once, and we could drag this up. You know, if we wanted to move this up, we could do that. I'm obviously going to move it back down so that it's rests above the countertop, but just shows you an example. We can work in all 3 at once. It really makes things quick and easy. You can also see the room mode on in here in the perspective. It actually puts us inside of that room. So it's almost as if we're building this room from inside itself. I'm going to move this cursor back down to that corner, and this is where we would select our manufacturer catalog. So I'm going to keep it on the US semi-custom, which is that generic catalog that we built for this presentation. And so if I knew that a base 18 is the first SKU that I want to put in there, I can simply, if I know the SKUs offhand, I can type those in. In this case, I'll make it a right hinge. The next screen that's going to come up is the linked code screen, which is one of my favorite parts of the tool. I know as a manufacturer, you guys will love this as well. This is essentially forcing the designer to recognize that there are many different accessories available for this base 18 and the exact cost associated with those additional accessories. This is one thing I always remember this from the industry. Ricky, which is the Research Institute for Cooking and Kitchen Intelligence, had done, you know, some research data for manufacturers, and it said that 48% of consumers wish they would have spent more on their project once the project was complete. And it was all of those value-added pieces that they wish they would have put in, things like a base waste basket or a wood-tier cutlery divider. These items that oftentimes, if it's not due to cost, it's simply just due to the designer not remembering all of the options that manufacturers have for their cabinets. And so Winner brings all of that front of mind and forces the designer to either select it in this case or bypass that and say, I don't want to add anything to that base 18. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add that in. And so you can now see our first cabinet is placed into the design. I can go forward. If I know a 2-drawer base 18, the next SKU I want, and place that. And likewise, if I do control copy, control paste, Winner is a Windows-based platform. So it's going to allow us to have a lot of those shortcuts that we're used to. And so you can see very quick and easy right there. The system is automatically drawing that toe kick, calculating that in, and putting that into the quotation. And it's also drawing the countertop for us. Now, at this point, if I wanted to put a wall cabinet over this, let's say we're going to build out a wet bar. I can use the arrow key on my keypad and change the direction of that cursor. So now it's going to start on the corner of that cabinet and work this other direction. If I knew the SKU I wanted to type in, again, I could type it in this code box, hit enter. Now, what do you do to pull up the catalog if I don't know what SKU I'm looking for? You can double click into this code box and it will pull up the exact catalog that we built based off of the manufacturer's spec book or that brand spec book. So we're going to always categorize this identical to what the spec book would show. And the designer has a couple of ways to filter and find exactly what they're looking for. In this case, let's say they're looking for a tall cabinet that's 30 inches wide. You can type in these parameters and it's going to now filter it down to these 152 options. If we further want to filter this, we can go in and say, well, I only want to see tall cabinets 30 wide that are designed for appliances. And so now we only have 68 options to have to look through that meet those parameters. Likewise for, base cabinet as an example, if I knew I was looking for a 30-inch wide base built for a sink, you can see I'm now down to my 8 options that meets that criteria. And one other thing I'll go ahead and show is, let's say the designer wants to find more information about this. Obviously, we have the description from the spec book. We have the line art from the spec book, but you can also go into additional info, and it's going to pull up the actual spec book for that manufacturer and showcase, in this case, the cabinet right there with any of those additional details that you may need to find if you're looking for modifications or whatever that may be. So a very quick and easy way to just drill down and filter to find exactly what you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to use this feature here, which is just going to allow me to find the exact cabinet that I'm looking for. And there it is, a wall 1833. So I'll go ahead and apply that. It's now going to recognize that based off of my ceiling height and the 33-inch cabinet that I put, kind of where to put that on the wall. We can always override that, change that height at any, by typing in the exact height we want it. Or as I drop this in here, you can see we have the option to do a glass. I'll make this a left hinge. Or if we wanted to change the height a different way, we could just use the elevation screen here to drag and drop that. I'll go ahead and change that back to where it was. But you can see just how quick and easy it is to start dropping in these cabinets while the trim, the light rail, the countertop, and the toe kick is all automatically drawing. Likewise, if we want to customize these cabinets, make any modifications to them, if I double click this cabinet, this is where it's going to pull up the parameters, which is where we can do all of those. So in this case, let's say I want to make this a 12-inch cabinet, and I want to add veneering to both sides of this. I can make those selections. Our model has now changed to showcase that. And when I hit OK, the parameters that we've built in for those up charges for, in this example, finish up charges, or if you had reduced width up charges, those would all be applied and assigned to that individual cabinet. And you can see our model is now showing that accurately on the wall. So if you have a specific parameter for your spec books or for your products, let's say you have a minimum of, you can only go down to 9 inches on the width or maybe 4 inches on the depth, we can build those into the catalog so that you would be forced to choose, somewhere within 9 to 15 and only in 3-inch increments. So all of that is possible and would be built in right here within the modifications. This is also where you would do a lot of your glass and door modifications, balance modifications, anything like that. But the next thing I want to show is one of those time-saving tips. So let's say you have a favorite set of cabinetry that you like to use in your design. Let's say you want to save this island because you like the design of this island and you want to use it in many designs going forward. I could drag around this island and I can actually save this as an individual unit now. Because I've saved this lighting and the stools and this island, if I go to new, I can type in island example, and I'm saving this to my winter macro catalog. And so every user has their own winter macro catalog where you can add all of these items to. We can call this whatever we want. We can categorize it however we want. But the important thing is I've just now saved that as an individual SKU that at any time in the future, in any layout, I can pull that in, and without having to redesign all of this, I can just drop that into place. And so I'm going to show you an example of one that I pre-saved for this same exact wet bar. If I go ahead and drag around this, delete all of those items out, and I'm going to now go into my winter macro catalog and pull up one of those pre-saved items. So if I double click, just like I would any other manufacturer catalog, you're going to see here where I have my island example that we just saved that I can pull from, or in this case, I'm going to grab this wet bar example that I created previously and saved, hit OK, and it's going to drop that into the design. I can then drag that into place wherever I may want that in the design itself. And so you can see just like that, how quick and easy designing the actual cabinet portion of winter can be. And that's where really, if we spend a little bit of time in the textures and the wall colors and the flooring, by the time we drop in our cabinets, we're able to produce these photorealistic renders that bring that customer into their space. Go ahead and put this into the wall here. And now we'll move on. So one other thing I wanted to showcase now that we've seen kind of the cabinet design side of it is the architecture. I had mentioned earlier the fact that we make it extremely easy to add in architectural elements. I just want to showcase one simple thing. If I go back into layout, you can see here we have a series of shortcut keys at the top here, depending on what model you are designing in. So let's say I wanted to add in a sloped ceiling into this, or a vaulted ceiling. I could do this slope ceiling icon. It's going to then show me a lot of pre-configured models that we have built into the tool. So I can very quickly and easily add in a slope ceiling into that back wall by just choosing one of these predefined slopes. We have these built out for, as you can see in the design, beams and faux trusses and staircases. These elements that if you don't draw them in and the customer actually has that in their space, it just feels a little bit off. So we make it very easy and intuitive to add those types of features in. Another example I'll show is, let's say we wanted to add in an internal wall like we've done over here. If we, for an example, in this back corner, if we had a closet chase or a chimney flue that came through here, I could do internal wall, and I can either free draw this like we did on the other section over here, or I can just drag and drop a box, which will make it a part of this room itself. And so you can see if I drop that in, it's now going to reroute all of my molding, and that visually becomes a realistic part of the space. So you can just see how quick and easy it is to add in those types of features. The other thing I'll show is now more along the lines of, once we have our cabinets in place, designing the room layout and all the customizations that we can truly do from a decor standpoint. So let's say our customer wanted a pop of color in this room. Maybe they didn't want to do any colors on the island, and maybe they want to just represent it in the wall itself. So we can click on this wall, and this art swatch at the top of the tool is where we can make all of these changes to individual items. So if I click on this wall, I could change the material of that, so the texture, like we have the stone at the top or on the back wall, and then I can overlay that wall with any color of my choosing. In this example, I'm going to type in a color that is one of the most popular colors in the kitchen industry today, which is navy blue. I'm sure most of you sell quite a bit of navy blue product behind, you know, whites and grays. It's probably your third most popular. This particular RGB code is the Sherwin-Williams naval blue that last year was Sherwin-Williams color of the year. If I hit apply, you can see the actual wall itself is now representing that exact RGB naval blue color. I can do the exact same thing to windows and doors, decor, or any other part of the program. So you can see here where as a standard, our doors and windows and all of our models will come in as just white or a light gray. However, in this case, in the US today, especially new construction, black window and trim is extremely popular. So I went into these three areas, changed the RGB code to black. And so that's where we get the black window. We could also change the width, the depth, the height. We could add blinds. We could tell the blinds to be open 40 degrees. So you can go into an insane level of detail here. But the beauty is you don't have to. You can, if you're just trying to get a quick quote out the door, if you're working on, with an import product or a stock line that's very inexpensive and time is money, and you're just trying to get a quote out the door, we can do that very quickly and efficiently. However, if you're looking to spend a bit more time and really dial in that customer space, we can do that. And that's what designers love about this tool, is they can bring their ideas to life because they can easily add in the architectural styles, they can easily add in the decor pieces, and they can easily add in all these textures. So likewise, if I wanted to change this flooring, click on the floor, go to the art swatch. And again, these are the thousands of textures that we have built into the tool. If, for an example, you didn't want one of these textures that we have already in, here's a classic herringbone floor that I'm going to use. If you have, let's say, a Shaw floor specifically that you're looking to use in this design, and we don't have the Shaw catalog, you can customize this, import in a high-res image, whether that's backsplash, countertop, flooring, wall color, import that in and use that within the tool. But in this case, I'm just going to choose this herringbone and make that change. And now we have the floor that we were really looking for. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before I really start talking through the render process and the quoting side of the tool is I want to show the decor side of things. So let's say you draw out this space, you have your walls, you have your flooring, and you have your cabinets in place. Well, now I want to add these decor elements that really bring that room to life. We have the standard products part of our tool, which has over 100,000 standard products built into the platform so that you have everything you need to decorate this room. Most designers have kind of their own style. So you can go through when you find an item that you love, you can favorite that. And that way, next time you come in, rather than having to sift through 100,000 items, you can go to your favorites and all of those will be showcased there. The other thing you can do is filter this by new items only. So these are being added to on a regular basis. These are going to be more of the on-trend items that you see in this section. But you can see here, we have everything from those architectural pieces to let's see here, appliances, whether that's ranges, cooktops, refrigerators, you name it, we have that in. Sinks, whether that's sinks themselves or faucets and taps, and then also just the miscellaneous pieces, lighting, plants, food. Everybody in the kitchen world loves their bowls of fruit. So we have lots of different items to choose from here from a decor standpoint that you can sift through. The other nice thing is, just like we did with the wet bar in the back of the room where we saved that as an individual item, once we decorate a room once and find the items that we love, we can go around that room, hold in shift, select all of those individual items and save those as a batch of decor to that same winter macro catalog. And we can pull in that batch of decor. If I go in here, I can show you an example of one I've done in the past. So you can see here, we can reuse that same decor, hit OK, it would drop all of those items into the room at once. We can drag and drop those into place, delete the ones we don't want, and in a matter of minutes, we can decorate an entire room scene. So again, just there's a lot of customization that can be done. However, the most important aspect is there's a lot of time-saving capabilities built in to where once you get familiar with the tool and kind of have your go-tos, it makes it very quick and easy to not only just present out an L-shaped kitchen, but present that one that's fully decorated. Now at this point, I want to start a render just to show you all what capabilities we have. So if I go to render view, this is going to give us a live render example. So if you have the customer sitting there with you, or if you're trying to look at the lighting or the individual colors that you place, you can use this. And what this will actually do is it will render live on the screen. Now, this isn't going to be our 4K photorealistic type of renders. However, it's going to give you a really good representation of what you can expect that render to look like. And so it's doing its thing rendering right now. However, if we see this and we say, oh yeah, everything looks good, I want to go ahead and render this, we can exit out of this render and save a render based off of this perspective screenshot. So all we have to do is get this view to exactly what we want to capture. And I'm going to hit Shift R, which is going to start the render process. We can name this example KCMA1. I'm going to save this locally. I'm going to override the one that already exists. And you can see here, we have the ability to do many different versions of the render. Most people are going to do the photorealistic. We can do up to an 8K quality. I'm just going to do 4K for today's presentation. But this particular render is going to render in 4K. It's now running in the background, so we can move on and do anything else we wanted to do. We don't have to wait. And so if I want to see where that's at in process, if I go to alternative photorealistic manager, I can see here that render is currently 5% complete. And so you can always keep track of where those are at, but they are just going to run in the background. So we can continue and move on. A 4K level render is going to take about 4 minutes to complete. So as soon as that render finishes on my end, I will go ahead and pull that up for us to view. But in the meantime, I want to talk through the quoting side of the tool. So if I go into the calculator up here in the top part of the screen, you can see where I have the ability, based off of what I select in the quote, it will show me exactly what's quoting out. You can see any modifications that are done to that cabinet, they will attach to that line item. And you can just see all of your pricing details. Now, I have currently pricing for my Moen manufacturer. However, on Wolf, I do not. So if I wanted to add that in, I could go into model and pricing. If I know that I'm going to retail that cooktop at $1,200 and I know that it costs me $750, I can plug in those numbers. The reason that we want to do that, A, so that the retail pricing shows up on the quote, but B, we have a feature within WinterFlex that allows us to see those key figures before we ever quote out to a customer. So again, it's the system is helping designers make just smarter decisions for the business. So here on this screen, I can actually see the breakdown by manufacturer, exactly what my margins are in each product and the overall project margin. So I can see at $61,000, I'm currently at a 35% margin. And so it's just extremely valuable for designers or manufacturer design teams to make better decisions. These prices are based off of what the individual user or dealer sets up as their index. So as soon as they would get the manufacturer's catalog, before they can actually start drawing in it, they're required to set it up, which is where they would plug in their unique multiplier for that product line, which would then impact all of the pricing on the back end so that the system is doing all of that quoting for them. The other thing we can do here in the quote, if we want to add in a random line item, maybe a design charge, we can add in a line item, make the description whatever we want, price it whatever we want. We can also add in freight and installation, just like we were able to customize anything in the design itself. We can truly customize anything and everything in this quotation screen. Now, I will pull up an example of what this particular quotation would look like. So here I did a batch print. This is the standard quotation that you would see out of the tool. So you can see customer information, company logo, followed by all of the selections that we made for that customer. And then all of the line item details. You can see our SKU and then our assignment, our attached modification lines below that. We can make this look and feel however we want as well. So if we want to exclude line item pricing, if instead of description, we wanted, say, the spec book line art drawing, we could do that instead. It's really up to the individual user. The one thing I love about this as well, we can create our own template. So this is my template where I've automatically applied a painted finish disclaimer that talks through expanding joint lines and all of that, as I know that's an extreme headache for manufacturers with R&A and with designers for customers that come back into the showroom after the fact. So this is an example of how you can, out of the gate, try to combat some of that with customers. And then in this case, I've included this whole batch print. So you're going to see the elevations after the quote, and then the individual perspectives that I've already created for this exact design that I did for the Showcase 360 that I'm going to show you here next. But before I go back and talk through the Showcase 360 side, I want to show one more feature here, and that is the running total. Again, because we selected all of those key figures up front, we are able to provide here at the bottom of the screen a running quote total. You can see we're currently at 61,000, and you can see a quoted profit margin of 35.11%. So for a designer, you understanding that budget, and as you design, it helps them, stick within that budget. So you can see here, if I selected these items and I delete those out, it's going to automatically impact that pricing that we see on the bottom of the screen. So we're going to go from 61,000 down to 55,000 out of the gate. And the next thing I'll show is oftentimes we get to this point, the customer falls in love with it, but they see that price tag. Rather than them walking away or you starting fresh on a new design, what we can do is we can go back into that F7 screen where we made all of those initial selections up front, and we can actually change that globally so that all of those door styles change as well. So if it's the door style itself that needs change, or if it's the finish that needs change, we can see how that's going to impact the overall price. So as that loads here, one thing that's very unique about Winner is we can choose the model pricing so that we can see among this list of door styles. Currently, we have Bristol selected, which it's showing Bristol is making up $36,000 of that overall quote total. If you remember, we do have 3 door styles in there. So just by scrolling through the list of available door styles that are available in that same species and finish, we could move to Essex, which would save us almost $6,000 out of the gate. It would give the customer the same exact layout, look, style. It would just change the door style and get them down into their price range. So that's just a great feature, as I know that that's something that happens quite often with designers. So at this point, we've talked through the overall tool itself. I want to show the Showcase 360 portion. So let's say you have the quote is where it is, where you want it to be. The customer is happy with it, and you want to present this out to them rather than them walking out of the showroom with just a printed piece of paper and a quote in an L shape with basic cabinets in it. We can present out a Showcase 360, which is going to include all of the documents and details for this project. So if I go into the back office here, this is what a designer would see for a Showcase 360. So you can see the various perspectives that I have of this kitchen. And you can see these are some 360 renders that I created for this job and included as part of this batch. And likewise, I have another example here on the front. And then you can attach any other documents. So I've attached 3 renders to this program right here, 3 different angles. I've also attached the quotation, and I attached the batch print, which is what we just previously went over. And so you can also outline, if you look here on this straight on angle 360, I have this excluded from what the customer sees on their end. Same thing with these. However, this version is included in their viewpoint. So from a customer perspective, what this will do is it allows us to send that 360 link to the customer. We can customize exactly, what we want that message to say, how we want that to look. And then when they open up that link, it is going to take them to their kitchen that you've created for them. So they can pull this up on their iPhone, a tablet, their computer, wherever they want, from the comfort of their couch. They can pull this up and stay engaged in that sales process. So they can see, that 360 render that you created. They can also see the exact renders that came from the tool. These are the 4K renders that I previously produced from that kitchen to show as an example of what's standard out of the tool. And so you can see all these different aspects. The customer gets to see these, fall in love with their kitchen, and then they can also download the PDF with all of the details about pricing and elevations and selection, and of course that finished disclaimer that we had on there. But it really just gets the customer to buy into the project. If they have suggestions that they want to make, they can add messages into here. So they can double click on this island and add commentary. The nice thing about this is that will come back in to the designer's WinterFlex portal through the cloud. So think of this, kind of like, a WhatsApp communication or whatever. If they have comments and they engage with that 360 render, a red notification would pop up here. And so here's one that I had previously done with Eric when I shared this design to him. And so you can see as a designer, you would see that notification. You can see that screenshot that says, hey, I'd like to take a look at that in the same color as the pantry. So as a designer, you can then go back into this design, change this island to the same color, the same blue color that we have in there, and resend that link back out to the customer. So again, it's really just making a much smoother presentation for the customer and really getting their buy-in and keeping them engaged. So the last thing I'm going to do, I just saw this render did pull up, so I know we viewed them in the 360 already, but this gives you an idea again of what would be expected to come out of the WinterFlex system. Again, it is all about, for us, bringing the space to life for customers. We know that this is what helps our designers and our manufacturers help sell more projects and help sell more valuable items like the internal items that we talked through. And so I hope this was beneficial today. I know it was quick. There's a lot that this program can do and that we can cover off on. But at the end of the day, it's all about the visuals and it's all about the ease that we can bring that space to life with. Thank you all.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Those of you that stayed on the line and helped send over some questions. So at this point, we're just going to go through a few of those. I know we only have a couple of minutes here, so those that we aren't able to get to today, we'll be sure to follow up via email. That way we can continue the conversation and make sure that you do get the answers to those questions. The first one here, it's from, I assume, a manufacturer. So I'm currently a 2020 user. Can you just use my catalog from that for Winter Flex with the recent partnership? So just to address that a little bit, the short answer is no. So they are completely unique platforms today that run off of different data sets. So for Winter Flex, we would still need to rebuild, your individual catalog from the ground up that our team would do in-house. And just to follow up on that a little bit as well, because there was another question in regards to what all we would need to do that. Typically, we start from a spec book, the full line brochure, and just the pricing file. So in one aspect, we can use that same data that you've already collated and put together to support, that business. We would essentially just need that on our end to develop that for the program. One other question that came in here was, so if my company is a client, the drop-down menu for cabinet styles would include my products. Do I have to be a client to be included in the drop-down? I believe, so maybe this is a retailer or a designer communicating about their manufacturer. So at the very beginning of that presentation, that F7 screen, that initial drop down, that's where you choose, your manufacturer catalog initially. So I see we have custom wood products on the call and Cabico. So as an example, if those two manufacturer brands were in the Winter Flex platform, you would go there and choose their brand first, which would then drive all of those drop downs for door style, wood species, finish, and all the data that you're going to see for choosing individual SKUs. And then one other question here in regards to how is the kitchen model shared with the customer? Can a 3D rendering be shared? I know that came in right before we went through that Showcase 360. So hopefully that cleared it up a little bit. So you can export any of that data out in just like a traditional PDF sense if you want to print off that render. But as you can see with that 360, the power that provides, designers for the end consumer is pretty significant. So we always recommend using that to really finish off the sales process. And then one other question that we had come in about catalog. So how do we manage the catalog updates? So Winter Flex is a hybrid cloud-based solution. So the software itself is installed on your computer to really drive those renders. However, all the data is stored in the cloud. So you can log in from anywhere to use the software. And so because of that functionality, we are able to push updates out as soon as a correction would come in. So if we would get feedback from a designer or a manufacturer that says, hey, we need to change this, we would fix that and push that directly out to all designers that have that catalog. And then last thing, I know we're ending up at the end of the call here today, so we will follow up with any other questions that came in. But just want to say thank you again to everyone who attended, to learn more about Winter Flex and this technology that we're bringing to market here in the US. We would love to work with each of you. Our goal really is to, have a wide range of accurate catalogs for the entire dealer and retail market in the US. We've made great progress in 2021 with partnering with dozens of KCMA manufacturers already. However, we know that there's dozens more that current users are already asking for. So we look forward to, working together, for 2022 to bring those to life. again, we'll follow up via email here. That way we can continue the conversation on one-on-one. But just want to thank you all again. Have a great, happy holidays coming up here. I know you're getting ready to wrap up your calendar year, but we look forward to working with you guys. And thank you again to Mike and the KCMA for putting this together today. So thank you.
Thanks,
all.
everybody. All right. Bye. Have a great day.